Where have I been? Let's talk about it.
I never really know what's going on. Look at me sometimes like all you want to do is run. Hear me out, hear me out.
All right, so this video is going to be a lot about my training, what I've been doing lately in the training. Obviously, it's a little bit busy this morning, so I apologize for the extra noise in the background, but we picked the quietest corner of the gym we could find. So what's happening right now with my training is today I'm going to be climbing a bit of my anti-style. Now, that's kind of a hard thing to say because I like slab. I like overhang. But I tend to like roof overhang, so what I would count as my anti-style is really more of a kind of diagonal. The wave section is what we're going to be focusing on today in terms of climbing my anti-style. And that's an important part of training, for me anyway. I think that you should really try to climb, especially if you find something that you really don't like, you should spend some time climbing that, kind of familiarizing with the things that you don't feel as strong on. From what I've learned lately, and I mean since starting this channel, I have learned a ton. You know, I've discovered so many other channels out there. So I'll mention a few that have really added a lot of value for me. One of my commenters obviously turned me on to Magnus's channel. Hooper's Beta is really fun, climbing stuff. I hope I can catch him while I'm in Ohio at some point. There's a couple other channels, you know, like Dave McLeod and a few others that I've just had a lot of value add from watching. And I've changed my style of training a lot to adapt to this information as well as information that I had before. So we're going to talk about a lot of the different things that I'm just doing right now. What am I doing to train? How am I training? But before we get into all that, I want to talk about where I've been. All right, so what's with the absence? Well, okay, to be fair, I'm not that consistent. I post usually once a month, maybe twice a month. If I'm getting lucky, sometimes I'll get more, but I'm not gonna promise more because my main focus is climbing. I do this to add value for people, and I think if it gets too consistent, you stop adding a lot of value sometimes. So where have I been? Blind, for lack of a better word. In addition to having a bit of a spine injury that I talked about on the Instagram, I've also been diagnosed with something called keratoconus. And it has basically caused the cornea to split in my right eye, and my left eye, not so much. So thankfully, recently I got a new procedure out for it called cross-linking, and this basically protects my eye, but it took me out of commission for a good 2 weeks. So I used it as a rest period, kind of deload training, because I think it's really important to deload when you've been going really hard. Now, what we're moving into next is really fun, because I've been doing hangboarding for a while. And the hangboarding is really fun. You know, I built a new hangboard module. I use a modular hangboard system. If anybody's interested in that, you know, let me know. I can teach you how to make that pretty fast. But the idea now is I'm shifting away from the hangboards. Although they are fun, and I'm still going to keep mine, don't get me wrong. But the training I'm going to be doing from here is more about weighted edges. Now, I'm using just a very simple one from Lattice Training. That's another channel I'd recommend. Sorry about that, I forgot that completely. Apologies, Lattice. You do a lot of good work, and I got a lifting pin to go with it, because not all gyms have that, although this gym does have a lifting pin already here. And I also got a dip belt, which allows me to attach plates. Now, I chose the dip belt because I like doing weighted dips and pull-ups as part of my new training. The thing is, I had a weight vest, and the weight vest only really gave me about 20 pounds max. When I started looking into the price of weight vests, you know, how much to get more weight, they get really expensive really fast. And the problem with it getting so expensive is that, you know, with a dip belt, I'm most of the time doing these at the gym anyway. So I can just bring plates and not have to worry about all this extra stuff. Now, as far as running goes, I posted on Instagram, but we did just finish the run for the, no, not the run for the zoo, sorry, that's in the fall. We finished the Sunshine 5K, and I actually placed in top 10, which was really exciting for me, but oddly enough, not one of my better times. So from here, I'm still going to be running about once a week, but I'm really cutting down on the running to put the emphasis on the weight training. And my idea here is to spend the rest of the summer basically weight training in anticipation of the fall outdoor season. Actually, I'll be making a trip to New Mexico in the early fall. So long story short, I mean, my goal with my training right now is just to get a lot stronger from here. I'm not really going to focus on weight too much. I think I shaved enough weight during the running and things like that, that now I'm in a good place to start building up my strength, building everything back up, recovering from all the injuries. My pulley is almost fixed on my finger now after that incident from setting. And that's another thing that I added to my training is I do setting at least once a month, because the setters here are really, really good climbers, and I can learn so much by being around better climbers. And that's one of the number one things, you know, if you do some weight training outside, that's great. Climbing is probably the key in terms of getting better at climbing, but you have to climb with people who are better than you. That's just the reality. Otherwise, you're not going to learn things. And for me, it took a while to find some people that really had that knowledge, but once you have people like that, you have mentors, you can grow so much faster. And you know, a lot of the people I've seen that have started working with me out here, I've seen them go from V1, V0, all the way up to V4, V5 within a matter of months, just because you stay focused and you have somebody really able to guide you. Now, another element I'll mention that's really quick is the aspect of stretching. Right? Stretching can be really important. I'm mostly focused on lower body because that's an area where I just don't have a lot of flexibility. My arms have pretty decent flexibility, so I'm not as worried about that. But these are things that are very individualized. So I'm not saying that everybody should do what I'm doing. This is a system that I've developed over a long time, and I continue to refine it. But once you get the feel for what works for you, do it. On that note, best thing I can be doing for training today is actually climbing. So let's go climb. So trying something a little bit different. Here we're dealing with really crimpy and then 3-finger pockets moving all the way up. It felt pretty good, but a little awkward positioning, and you know, I'm still not quite used to crimps with the pulley injury. This one had a lot of fun movement on it. Again, just kind of swinging around, trying to find out different angles to make things work, but it just didn't work for me. And this one, I always like to include something that's a little bit successful, but I do like to do these a little bit fast times, so I have to talk a little bit fast. Good balancy moves, you know, keeping good feet throughout, nothing too crazy, just a nice smooth climb. So I got something. And then this orange one, for some reason I was really attached to trying to get this one because it looked like it would be really easy. Lots of big holds all the way through. But as you can see, I didn't quite get it on the first round. Second round, I felt a little more comfortable with it. I had an idea of what I was doing for the beta, and as I started moving up through this portion, I just, again, barely missed it. Then we finally found something in my strength, which is arete climbing. For some reason, just not set a lot at this gym, but I love this arete compression style. It's really fun to move in that area, and it's got a little bit of a corner movement as well. Nothing super positive aside from this hold, and really fun all the way around on this one. All right, that was quite the session. Climbing my anti-style definitely kicked my butt, although to be fair, everything kind of kicked my butt because I haven't climbed in 2 weeks, so I knew I was going to be a little bit weaker today. But all in all, fun session, and hopefully you've gained some value from learning about what I'm doing in training. And you know, no, I'm still learning too. So if you see something here that you're like, maybe you could try this instead, or something that you think might just not be optimal, I'm always open to suggestions. I'm not saying I'm going to take everything, but I'm always open to suggestions and learning more. So that said, don't forget to comment down below. And of course, if you're getting some value from these videos, like and subscribe. It helps me make more.